The rule of thirds is probably the most often quoted rule of photography. So is it ever okay to break it? Hi, I'm Julie from Ultimate Photo Tips, and if you've ever wondered, should I always follow the rule of thirds or is it okay sometimes to break it, then today's tip is for you. So let's start off by talking about what is the rule of thirds. Here's an example. If you were to draw a tic-tac-toe grid over your image, then the rule of thirds suggests that you place your subject at the intersection of the grid lines. So for this photo, the key point of interest is the bird's eye, and it's at the thirds position. Now, before we start talking about breaking this rule, I think it's a good idea to understand why it exists in the first place. In English, the word important is a synonym for central, and our human instinct is always to place our subject, what's most important to us, in the center of the frame. The downside to doing that is that when you put your subject in the center, it kind of makes the image feel a little bit static. And that's because the image then is in perfect balance and there's no pull more toward any one edge over the other. By following the rule of thirds, we can push our subject a little bit off center and therefore make the image a little bit more off balance. That can make the image a bit more dynamic and it will move your viewer's eye around a little bit more. So back to our original question. Is it ever okay to break this rule? I say yes. I've always been an advocate of designing your image so that it best tells your story. Well, what if stability is your story? Take a look at this next example. Here, my story is about stability amidst chaos. And by breaking the rule of thirds and placing that tree stump centrally, I've actually strengthened my message. Another example of when breaking the rule of thirds might strengthen your story is in the case where you have a perfect reflection. Let's say you have trees reflected in the water. If you place your horizon perfectly centrally in that case, it's going to make your image appear more tranquil and it's going to emphasize the balance. So next time you're out photographing, think about what your story is. And if it's all about calm and stability, then consider placing your subject in the center. If you want a more dynamic image, then follow the rule of thirds. And if you really want to set your viewer off balance, then push your subject even closer to the edge of the frame, and that will create more tension. That's it for today's tip. So please come on over and visit me at ultimatephototips.com. And while you're there, make sure to sign up for my newsletter where you get tips and tidbits that I don't share anywhere else. Happy shooting, and I'll see you next time.